lot of people ask, is sourdough bread gluten-free? Well, let's look at that. So your typical bread that's out there, whole wheat bread or any sort of bread, usually is somewhere around 100 to 200,000 parts per million. They say the average is about 124,000 parts per million of gluten in a typical serving of bread. With sourdough, because it's fermented, you reduce a lot of that gluten. In fact, a significant amount, reduces it down to roughly about 200 parts per million. So that's a huge reduction, 124,000 to 200, that's huge. Now, to be gluten-free, the FDA says it needs to have less than 20 parts per million. So still a 10-time reduction from where the sourdough bread is. The Gluten-Free Certification organization, which is really looking after people that have severe allergies to gluten, like people with celiac that have very severe allergies to gluten, very severe sensitivities, they want it less than 10 parts per million. So is sourdough bread, your typical traditional sourdough bread, is that gluten-free? No, it is not. Is it significantly reduced gluten content? Absolutely it is. Now, you can find gluten-free options out there. So it's like a gluten-free sourdough starter. You can find that, but oftentimes they're made out of rice or corn, which a lot of people that have gluten sensitivities also have sensitivities to corn and rice and some of these other grains that are used to produce it. Buckwheat sometimes, sometimes people do well with buckwheat. So you have to look at what else they're using in the certified gluten-free sourdough bread starter and see if your body is able to tolerate that. So it's not gluten-free, but it is significantly reduced. And why is that important? When you take a pretty large bolus of gluten into your system, gluten stimulates a protein called zonulin in your intestines. And zonulin goes up. Zonulin creates more permeability. So it loosens the tight junctions in your gut and creates intestinal permeability where large proteins, bacteria, bacterial end products, things like lipopolysaccharides can now easily get into the bloodstream. And that can drive up inflammation in the body. So we want to avoid large consumptions of gluten. So sourdough bread being a much lower consumption is a lot better for us than your typical bread that's out there.